on this computer. So I'll just repeat a little bit of that. Thanks. Welcome everyone here to Graphic Studio Dublin. We have a group of members, our own members here, including Alva, Kate, Ruth and Vida, all of whom have been to Paris to the Centre Culturel Irlandais on residencies within the last 10 years. And they are here to answer any questions that you might have, or just to talk about their experience there. But the first thing I'm going to do is just share, if I can find it. Yes, these are some of Vida's photos of when she was in Paris. So it gives a feel for the place. We have the courtyard, which seems to be incredibly nice areas to sit out. And this is the studio, Vida, yeah? This is the artist's studio that you're given, which opens onto the courtyard and inside. And it's a fairly simple studio. It is not a print studio, but the idea is that you can go and prepare work or develop ideas and responding to your own practice and what you feel that you would like to do. And I think that's where it's nice to be able to ask questions about what people have proposed.
The studio has 24 hours access.
A bit louder.
Yeah, it's all yours. So you have keys and you can, use it whatever time you like, day or night.
Yeah. So maybe we'll just ask Vida to give a quick description of what it's like over there and what kind of access and accommodation and everything you get. Would you?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
So
maybe go a little closer.
Hello everyone. So basically they have two studios available. One with more lights and another with less lights. Am I right?
Yeah.
So I got with the more lights, and it's a really kind of nice studio, very spacey, a lot of space. So you can do your sketches, you hang your work on the walls and just have a proper look at them. So it's really kind of nice. There is the water, sinks, what else? Good lights. Yeah. What else?
Space to hang.
Yeah, space to hang, desk, heating, everything you need. So basically,
that's good. And your living accommodation?
Living accommodation in separate building, in the main building, the large building of residency. So there is many rooms. It's like hotel or something. So I feel very like in 5-star hotel something with a kitchen. So it was really cool. So they provide you all the facilities like the room cleaning. You don't need to care. So it's really kind of amazing thing to have it. So at least they treat you so well. So you're artist, you do your creative kind of job, and everything is care is taken, everything else. So only there is a kitchen with storage shelves, a fridge, and everything. You can store your own food. You can make your own food. Everything is provided. All utensils.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all those things. So lovely.
That's great. That's brilliant. And I also have Alva Barrett here, and Alva was over there about 3 or 4 years ago. And I might just ask Alva about meeting other people and who else is there, who else is would tend to be there at the same time as you, and how much integration there is.
Yeah, there's quite a wide people coming from a wide cross section of the arts in general. When I was there were 2 writers, a dancer, 2 musicians, and there were just 2 visual artists actually, and a digital artist as well. And it was really great. That's one of the kind of major benefits I found, was interacting with artists from every every field in the arts, and I think that was really beneficial. And it has had ongoing benefits to my work and how I see it and approach it. And I think it's something that I'd actually like to explore more, and I've often thought about it since. Other benefits obviously are just the fact that you have that indulgence almost of time to spend researching and thinking about your work, and actually feeling, that you have that freedom and space as well. As Vida was saying, the studios are, like, it's a very generous sized studio, and it's very, I liked the kind of sparseness of it as well. I think the rooms they're were they originally a monastery, and they have that sort of feel, a monastic feel to them or something.
And there's priests still living in one of the apartments.
Yeah, there are, yeah. And it's very, but to go back to the cross section of artists, I really do think that was a huge benefit. And we just interacted mostly, like we'd go maybe for one meal a day with any number of whoever was free.
Did you have to make a presentation of your work to the others?
So I think there's they ask you to do one contribution to the residency. So I did an open studio, and it was actually in conjunction with their culture night, I think, the night that I did it, and just had an open studio, and it was actually quite busy, and it was lovely to interact with people. I don't have fluent French, but I was able to make my way in. It was really nice. And that's another thing, I think, that you don't need, like, everyone there speaks really good English in the songs, and it's very so it's not a necessity, but it's lovely to have a little bit of, which I think would be.
Can I ask you, because I know you have to head off, what kind of project did you propose, and were you able to kind of carry that through?
I proposed basically it was at a stage in my life where I was kind of having a sort of a reset. So I just wanted to have an overall look at my work, where it was, and just to research and kind of put time into thinking about it. And also, as part of the proposal, I really did want to take in the area, and obviously an unbelievable wealth of galleries there, and you can't not be affected by them. And also, again, other arts kind of events that were happening were a big part of it as well. But yeah, it was really just time to put into my work, and into kind of just drawing a line under maybe what I had done and where I was going to go next. That was basically research.
That's great, Alba. Thanks a million. We might come back then to Kate McDonough here, who was our most recent attendee over there. And again, Kate, just your kind of evaluation of the whole time. And what was that you proposed?
It was last year I was there.
I'm listening, so thanks.
It was fantastic. Beginning. Actually, it was a great opportunity to just focus on a body of work without having to think of it for an exhibition or whatever. And what I proposed to do while I was there, I wanted the opportunity to study the post-impressionist works in relation to my own practice, which is mokuhanga, which is a Japanese method of printmaking, water-based printmaking. And this was great because I don't need printing press. So it was ideal. I had the use of this beautiful studio in the heart of Paris, within walking distance of the Musée d'Orsay, which I spent an awful lot of time in. So what I was doing was, my interest in my own work is a real focus on colour and the use of colour. And the post-impressionists were, as one knows, influenced by Japanese art. But it's through my own practice and use of this method that brought me to this place where I really wanted to see and experience how colour was used in a very optical way. So literally I used it as I'd walk down to the museum and study some of these paintings and come back to my studio, which was ideal for like the quality in my work and that I work with are transparencies and papers. So the studio was set up in a way that it was lovely size for starters. There were rafters which I could hang paper, and I could really play around with the color and transparencies. So I spent the month doing that. It was very short in the end of the day. I'll continue this work because I'd like to make some installation pieces. So I'm hoping to just continue that, but it was just a fantastic opportunity to be there.
Did you meet many other artists over there?
I did, and the studio next door was an artist that I already knew from Dublin here, Felicity Clear, and that was fantastic, as Alva was saying, just to be able to spend time with another artist, a group of artists, cross disciplines as well. But with Felicity, we worked closely together a lot of the time, chatting about what we were doing. She was making an installation piece also for an upcoming exhibition she was having. So it was a lovely opportunity to get to know someone better, and very inspiring. And it was really inspiring also to meet other artists, musicians, there was a theatre director there. Like, it was great, the conversations in the evening, sitting around the courtyard, having dinner. It was just a dream, really, the whole thing.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Kate. And Ruth O'Donnell was there before. She was actually on a 3-month residency, not part of our print residency. So she doesn't fluent French, and she's a very nice movie that she'll give you a link to about her time over there. But
yeah, I was just going to talk about when I did the residency, it wasn't a print residency at the time. There wasn't such a thing. So I applied for a general residency on the basis that I wanted to do research into ceramic objects in museums and in paintings in Paris. So I was making connections between objects and how they've survived in art. And so we'd spend sort of about half the day in whatever museum I was working in, whether it's the Louvre or the Guimet, spent a long time. Carnavalet Museum, Paris, all the museums at Culic Sèvres, which is an incredible ceramics museum. And I came out with a whole lot of things that I had hoped to see, and then things that I hadn't thought about at all. So I got a lot of new ideas. So in particular about when we started to have fragments, and you realize when things are broken, that the reason why they're broken can be a pretty interesting thing itself, whether things are smashed on purpose, as people do, or whether there's accidental damage or the passage of time. And then there's how things survive, which is because people were careful, or because they painted them. And that's a way of survival, or because a curator looked after something, reassembled it, and took care of it in a museum. So those sort of issues, which are what I really like about the fragile objects that I draw, came to the fore, and I became a lot more knowledgeable about where and how things had been made because of seeing how they had been preserved. So it was a terrific residency for me. I had it for 3 months, and I had the 2 studios. I was absolutely spoiled. But it meant, and I did do an open day, but also I was able to do the interaction with other artists. There was no other visual artist there. There was a writer and a musician. The musician was Nick Roth, who's a jazz musician. And the thing that happened was that he was having an event, and I suggested he might like to use the studio for it. And then he said, well, of course, you'll have to photograph and film some of what we did. And then subsequently, a French TV company, Art TV, did a small film of the residency as well. So it was a big experience for me. Out of it, probably people are aware of the work that I did. I don't know what's happening there. If everyone's still there, I think people are probably aware of that. They, made successive exhibitions based on the work that I did there, and also on the ideas that came from it. So they've been, 2 solo exhibitions in the graphic studio and multiple exhibitions. Some of the work has gone to Chimney exhibition, and it has lifted my work again from where it was before. I'm not sure what else I can say that's useful, but at the end of the residency, I was talking to Nora about what artists. I don't think there had been printmakers there before. I think Geraldine O'Reilly had been there, but I'm not quite sure what her residency was based. I don't think it was based on printmaking. It was based on her painting. But what I was making were working drawings, which came back and which I'm still working from to make prints from, because somewhere between the first sketch and when I start making a print, there's always something where you work it up to where it's going to go, where you think the thing through. And that's what I was really doing in the studio. So I was going out of the sketchbook and then making that sketch into something which would come on to the next stage. What we talked about at the end of the residency was whether I was realized that printmakers hardly ever get these opportunities. So as the Science Culturelle was developing new residencies, I suggested that they might do one for printmakers. But I was aware that many people can't get away for 3 months. So we kind of come up with the idea that the 1 month residency would be better for most people, and that's how that has come about. As I don't know if there was any questions.
Okay, well, I might just let Vida have a chat too, just to say about your project that you had proposed to do and what you worked on over there.
My proposal was based on gallery visits, museum visits, and to collect all art related information from the Paris, because Paris the city is itself like a museum. Just to be in Paris, it's a great opportunity. So just to walk through the streets and just take some photographs, do sketches, to have enough time to sit down and do sketches is really amazing as well. So and I enjoy it really, really much. And I visited beautiful buildings. I went into the churches. It was really inspiring, and I got loads of beautiful collection of photographs and sketches as well. I still have them, still do nothing with them, but I'm planning to do something with them in the future, maybe. But my proposal was based on galleries and museum visits, because I never in my life had the opportunity to visit top kind of level art institutions, like what is like Paris is very famous about that. So to having only this opportunity, like for a month long, it's an amazing thing to have it. So you can go once, go twice, all the days. So you can spend those in the museum because they are huge, massive. So many inspirations, different kind of styles. It kind of enrich your own practice. You get better understanding. And also I liked all these designer shops, small galleries. You go in, they are very chatty, all the galleries. They're making contacts, you're kind of getting new ideas, meeting people from all around the world, and you see what other art people doing. So it was really kind of really nice thing to have it.
Good, thanks, Vida. I suppose at that we'll ask, has anybody got any questions or anything that they would like to ask the group? So if you do, maybe just take off your mute button and ask away. Yeah.
So I just want to ask about the scale of the work that you were producing when you were there. Am I supposing right, Kate, that yours was large?
Yeah.
We were talking about using patterns.
Yeah.
And Vida, I think I've seen some of yours on Instagram, yours was small. Yeah. So I mean, how do you bring home large work? And what did most people do? Did most people work small so that they could?
Well, can I just repeat that
Yes,
for the recording here? Julianne was asking about the scale of the work. If you work on very large work over there or smaller work, and how do you bring it home? How do you bring it home, and how do you? Yeah.
Because I have to leave shortly. I had just we need to speak up. Oh yeah, sorry. I had prepared beforehand sketch size sheet of paper that I just put in my suitcase, and I had watercolor set. I deliberately kind of limited myself to that, and then I had one rolled up bunch of maybe 10 sheets of heavy duty watercolor paper, and I taped them up and fitted them in the suitcase. They were I think they were 30 inches by 40. They were quite big, but rolled up in the suitcase, and they were perfectly fine. And they were designed so that they were sketchworks and that was it. I didn't want to do really finished works. I'm still working from them. Like they had that effect on my practice that I'm still drawing. Like the recent exhibition I had, some of those works I began to kind of resolve them there in the residence. So yeah, but I did stick to a combination of the set small ones and one rolled up.
Does anyone else have any?
Yeah, I like you, Alva. I was working out things while I was there. I was researching,
Yeah.
so I wasn't precious about
Yeah.
everything. Even though, of course, I'd be precious about my papers and stuff like that. But you know, Japanese paper is very light. I could roll everything. I literally went with 2 rolls on my back, and then a suitcase that contained my paints and. Basically, I don't need a huge amount of materials really to work with, but yeah, I think that idea of working on a body of work to get like what this residency gives you is time.
Yeah,
you know, nobody is looking for something at the end of the day. The work I produce there, I'm going to continue to work on, and maybe in the next couple of years it's ongoing. But yeah, I think if you think about whatever you're proposing to do, and just like you got set up with your paper, you just you're organized before going, and of course you can buy everything there as well. That was another thing, you know, exploring the city, the art material shops, amazing. That always brings something new as well. Yeah.
Okay, Rennie, I think you may have a question, do you?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is this residency, is it only for one person this year?
There are 2 different residencies. If you go on to their application page, there are a number of residencies that are listed there, and artists may be eligible to apply for more than one. You do this by ticking the box. So there is a graphic studio independent one. Then there is another one for members of the print network, which are Graphic Studio, Black Church, Cork printmakers and Limerick printmakers. But artists may also be eligible to apply for others if you're a member of the VAI, or if there's a Dún Laoghaire Rathdown one, I know. So it could be that people can tick, you know, 4 or 5 boxes.
Okay.
And, you know, you may not get the one that you think you're most eligible for, but you may be offered another one. Or you may have to reapply next year. And they are always very keen, from what I hear, about people reapplying, that just because you don't get considered one year doesn't mean that you will not be kind of considered the following year or a year after that. So keep applying.
Thank you.
It's as I understand it, it's the same application, but you can just tick eligibility boxes. So that's how I see it. Any other questions from the room? Or Ailish has a question there.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, did any of you not have a studio there? Because I know there's an option to say that you don't need a studio space.
Yeah.
Or did you all have studio space?
Yeah, there are rooms which have sort of a study. So if you didn't need a studio space, you could get a room that has a little, you know, little extra, so that you're not working actually in your bedroom. There are rooms which have a study space, so they can be a good option if you don't want a studio space.
Okay.
Was a bigger room, remember, in between floors.
Just louder.
Yeah, it was a room where you can do, you know, whatever, even sketching, or if you don't painting. So
A group room where a number of
group
people would
room,
work. A common room, kind of common study.
It's very large, very cozy, very, you know,
Yeah.
could be used as a studio. So
Okay. And I presume you could include that in your application. You could note that my ideal space would not necessarily be a full studio, but somewhere that I could work with others or independently.
Yeah, I know there's a box, I think, that you can tick saying whether you specifically want a studio space.
Okay.
So yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just another thing that could be interesting. One of the things that I did while I was there was to go to a course, and that it was about drawing in museums, which I did in the there's a part of it involved, it was the Musée des Arts Décoratifs ran it. Now it was in French, but you know, you're drawing, it wouldn't, you know, you could probably have, if you have school French, you could have followed what it wasn't a lot of talking, it was a lot of work. But that was something interesting to do. There are other kind of courses people can do, and that can be interesting to think about. If there's some course you wanted to do in Paris, look out for that as well as part of an application.
Yeah, good idea. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just regards the studio, I'm thinking I make my own inks and dyes and pigments and stuff. So what's in the studio? Would there be, is it just an empty room, or is there a tap? Is there access?
Yeah, there's a good
What's the
big,
stove up like?
Good sink.
there's a huge Belfast sink.
Yeah.
All right.
And the light is great. Well, in number one, particularly
Yeah,
the studio, there's loads of light, but it's fabulous to work in. Yeah,
Is it near
huge
the
sink.
courtyard? I could see the
It's
picture.
in the courtyard.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So you can actually sometimes, because the weather was so beautiful, we could go outside and use some tables and work outside as well.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
lovely. Yeah.
Mm. And are they worried about being very messy or dirty or?
No, well, of course, you keep the studio, you leave it as you found it, basically, but what you do with it when you're there, I think it's up to yourself. But also, I just remembered something there in the afternoons, the centre is open to the public.
Yeah.
So people come into the courtyard and have lunch or whatever, sit around, and often they engage with the artists, but you don't have to. You can put a note up in your studio saying, at work.
That sounds awful.
Yeah. Yeah, so there is.
But Laura, she's very helpful. She helps with everything you ask. So there's
That's
much
Nora.
advice there.
Nora's very helpful. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you need extras, so it's
Definitely.
kind of easy to ask here. She will probably definitely provide you everything you need.
So I suppose you put that in your application.
Yeah.
An indication of how you work and what kind of facilities you would ideally like, and it might influence which studio you might be given over somebody else at the same time. I think they also are very careful in grouping people together. So, you know, particular musicians with a particular type of artist, or I don't know, but they seem to be very interested in what group attend at the same time. So that's quite interesting. Any other questions from anyone?
Just about the accommodation, I mean, are you allowed to have visitors and family and
Just to repeat that, somebody was asking here about accommodation. Are you allowed to have visitors? Can people join you? I presume not for the whole residency, but to visit.
If you are allowed for a week or something long, someone to come in and stay with you, because the main reason they don't want full time, because not disturb you.
Yes.
That's kind of the
To
main
distract
reason.
you,
To
yeah.
distract you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a week long, so yes.
That's good to know. So for, up to a week long, as long as they don't distract you from the greater scheme of things. Okay, any other questions or comments or?
Sorry, me again.
Ailish, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
I'm just wondering, is there certain months that the graphic studio has their residency on, or is it just whenever?
I think they allocate time. I think maybe you can pick a preference. Yeah.
September is
That's why they recommend September as being particularly. I think all of ours were May. I think all of ours were May or September.
Well, I was January to April, and it was fantastic.
Oh,
Okay. So we shouldn't need
Any
to.
time.
That was the key song there.
Yeah.
In May.
Yeah.
But yes, they ask you what your preference.
They work with
which
you,
is
I
great.
think.
Yeah.
So lovely.
Okay, anything else? Or will we Is that enough? Are you all inspired and ready to go for it? We will be, if this recording works, I have no reason to believe it won't, but assuming it works, I'll be circulating this anyway. So if you missed part of the talk or want to share it around with others, I'll send it around to Hazel and Jess and Siobhan, and they can share it with everybody anyway.
Susan,
Okay.
could I just say thank you very much for organizing this, and just thank you to everybody for sharing their experience.
You're
It's
welcome.
been very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome, and I hope we'll get lots of good feedback.
Same
And
here.
Thank you.
somebody will really enjoy it, or a few people might really enjoy it next year.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. Thanks
you.
a lot, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.